Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the DCL Duo Podcast, brought to you by My Path Unwinding Travel. And as you can tell when you hear my voice, I am solo hosting today. Brian is off with Nathan, schlepping him around as parents often have to do. And so I decided to go forward with this recording on my own. I'm super excited to have our guest with us today. She has not been on the show before, but she is not a stranger to Disney cruising. We're going to be talking about her 7th Disney cruise. So I'm going to welcome to the show, Shannon.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm really excited.
Well, I'm excited to have you, Shannon. You have some really cool itineraries that you've done with Disney Cruise Line. But of course, we got to start with where does the Disney love come from and what got you onto Disney Cruise Line in the first place?
Yeah, so as a kid, we did a couple trips to Disney. I think my first trip was when I was 7, and then we went to Disney World when I was 12, both really fun trips. When I was in high school, my freshman and sophomore year, we got to go do the Disney Magic Days. And those were like very memorable because, as a 14, 15-year-old getting to run around Disney for 5 days unchaperoned.
Were you band, orchestra, or choir?
Band, flute player.
Okay. Oh,
yeah.
okay.
So it was super fun. So that just left like a really good memory. But then didn't end up going to Disney for a long time after that until my brother-in-law graduated and he decided to do a family trip to Disneyland. And our daughter was like a week from being 3. And that was a trip. Well,
yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. A 3-year-old. I mean, listen, I know people who've taken their kids to Disney World at like 6 months old, and more power to them. But like, it's a lot. Like we went with our nephews a couple years ago. So Nathan was older, but my nephews were like really, really little, and it's a rough go with toddlers.
Yeah. And my daughter has ADHD, and staying in lines was not her jam. Even
not
with 6 family members to entertain her.
Right.
So, we're like,
and she's not quite old enough to do the heads up game, right? The heads up game, I have found, I have found that's like a good line to strike for a lot of families. Like if you have kids that are a little bit like maybe don't necessarily qualify for the DAS pass, but need some distraction in line. If they're old enough to play heads up in line, that's like a pretty good distraction.
Yes, no, that was perfect. Yeah. So we put the brakes on, anything like that until she was in first grade. So she was 7, and we decided to take a big trip. We hadn't taken just the 3 of us trip for a long time. And I was like, we gotta redo Disney. And so we decided to go to Disney World. And I was a super planner. I had like my touring plans. I had my fast passes, and we never waited a line longer than 15 minutes for anything. It was like, we're like, nope, this is what we're doing. We're going here. So it worked out really well. But kind of like the way that we looped in the Disney cruising was we had been talking about going to an Alaska cruise. We also live in Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
And so
you're our neighbors.
Yeah, we're in Woodinville. So
oh my God, you're like we should be doing this in person, Shannon. You were like 15 minutes away from us.
No kidding. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. I had no idea. I knew you were in Seattle, but I didn't know you were that close.
No, we're on the east side too.
Oh, that is so funny. So we had been, being close by. We're like, Alaska cruise would be cool. But we're like, are we cruise people? I don't know. So we're like, well, we're over there. And, the Caribbean cruises are pretty, fairly inexpensive, all things considered. So maybe we do like a little short cruise and kind of see how it goes. And we actually didn't set out to do a Disney cruise, but the timing just worked out for us. Like as far as like the day that we wanted to go, how many days it was. And so we're like, well, I guess we're doing a Disney cruise.
What was the other cruise line or cruise lines that you were considering at the time?
We were considering, I think, Royal Caribbean. I think Royal Caribbean was like the main one that we were considering because we were looking at like kid things, right? Like what's going to be really kid friendly for her. And,
I
had
mean,
a
that's
kids
what
club.
yeah, that's what I tend to tell people. Like, if you are looking for like a family friendly cruise, like the two main brands you should be looking at, and obviously some of this is budget dependent, right? Is going to be, of course, Disney or Royal. I think. I mean, and those are the two as a family we will sail on. I mean, that's to be perfectly blunt about it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
know I
Especially
there
like
are people.
younger, right?
Yeah, and there are people who love Carnival, and Carnival is also family friendly, but I just know I'm not gonna be a Carnival person. I just already know that.
Yeah.
Sorry for those
I,
out there who love
I
it.
know.
Yeah.
I think that's kind
Yeah.
of me too. I'm not, yeah, that was kind of when you think about cruising, I'm like, one, can I be stuck in like one place for a really long time? And then two, kind of what's the vibe of the boat? We're not big partiers. We do not care about a casino. So, and, it needs to be like stuff that we can kind of send the kiddo off to do, but then also like stuff that all three of us would want to do together. So the one that we did was the Bahama cruise. So went to Nassau and went to Castaway Key, and it was so fun. Like we had a great time. We met a family, and they had a they. This was when so this was in 2018. So they were still like placing families together, and they picked out like this great family. We had the best time with them, and they had a girl who was 1 year older than Kaylee, and they became like instant best friends. It was so cute. Like they still like keep in touch a little bit now and then.
Oh, it's so good. Like when you get well matched at dinner, and they still do this now nowadays. They stopped doing it, of course, during the restart after the pandemic because of they were trying to, you know, keep people separate so that you didn't, spread COVID. But like, now they are back to particularly smaller families and couples. If you're a large group, you're probably not going to be seated with other people. But if you're just a couple, you'll be seated with other couples. If you are a single parent, single child pair, you'll likely be seated with others like similarly situated. And same for families of three. It's pretty like us, often we often know people on our sailings and make a request to sit with the people, but like if we don't, then we have we'll get paired with another family of three typically, or a family of four.
Yeah, and we like that. Like we're, I wouldn't say we're like extroverts, but we like chatting with people and meeting new people from different areas, and it's kind of fun to like chat with somebody about your day. Like, oh, what did you guys do today? And
Yeah.
so it was really cool, and it was just
There's only
it,
so much you can talk to your own family about.
right.
Let's
Oh
be
my gosh,
honest,
yeah.
Shannon, right?
Yeah, no, it's true. Yeah, some of the later cruises we went on with my mom, it was kind of the four of us were all kind of like staring at each other during dinner. So, so I totally, yeah, exactly. So we're like, okay, well, yeah, we love this cruise. So we booked for a year and a half out. We booked the Alaska cruise, like right when the itinerary came out, we were on it. And funny enough, I ended up getting diagnosed with cancer, breast cancer during that time, that interval between the two. And throughout my whole treatment, I was like, we have a Disney cruise. And
Oh,
so I have to be done with treatment. Everything
oh,
has to go. I'm going
you're
on
like
this
a
cruise.
goal. This is
I had
when
a
I have to
goal,
ring
and
that bell
yes,
before the cruise.
yes.
Yeah.
And so in
Oh.
all my paperwork, it says like, has a Disney cruise on August 23rd. And we
Oh.
made it. I think I finished my radiation. So I had surgery, chemo, radiation. So I finished my radiation the day before we left.
Oh my
Um,
god.
so
Well,
it was like,
first of all,
thank you.
congratulations
Thank
on,
you.
beating that and ringing that
Yeah.
bell and all of that. Oh my god. So
Yeah.
you got to
So
go.
so it was so
Oh,
fun because, it was like a real
you're
celebration,
celebrating. Yeah.
and Alaska was beautiful. We had a great
Oh.
time.
Oh, and you didn't even have to fly. You just had to drive up to
We just drove
Vancouver.
up and it was so
Yeah. Oh.
easy. Yeah. And so it was a great time. And so that was 2019.
Okay. So right before the pandemic. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, well, and then, we're like, oh yeah, in a couple of years we'll go on another one. Well, then we had the pandemic, so nobody went anywhere. And so, fast forward a few years, unfortunately my dad had passed away. And, my mom really enjoys traveling. My dad really enjoyed traveling. They liked going little places, they go down to spring training and all this. So my mom's like, I really want to go somewhere with you guys. Let's plan a trip. She's like, we have this. My dad was very, very good at like planning, financial planning for himself. And so he had a lot of kind of money squirreled away. And she's like, we have this one death annuity and we don't have to take a tax hit on it. And she's like, I really think this is what dad would have wanted. And I was like, you know what? I totally agree with you. So she's like, let's do something together. Now, I will say, I love my mother very much. I don't love doing logistics with her.
Yeah.
So
Some
she,
people are great at it and others not
you
so
know,
much. Yeah.
she's she gets anxious, and then it makes me anxious, and we are much more laid back in our approach to things than she is, and that can drive her crazy. So I was like, I told my husband, I was like, I totally want to take a trip with my mom, but it has to be something that is like planned.
Yes, something
Like
that's fairly
we
easy, but also planned out.
not where we have to like hit trains at a lot of certain time, or we have to be a lot of places at a certain time, or have to get to a lot of places at a certain time. And so we're kind of like, going through all these different ideas. And I was like, you know what we should do? We should go on a Disney cruise with her. So she was also like, oh, I don't know if I'm a cruise person. And I was like, no, mom, it's totally different. Because so when just as a little like side, so you kind of understand how our family dynamic here is. When I used to travel with my parents when I was younger, we did something every day. Like, you have something planned every day. You do not sit around the hotel room. We don't like lounge on the beach. Like,
Oh,
what is
there's no
that?
like pool day. Like if you
There's
went to
no pool
Disney,
day. You're like, you can do
no
a pool for an
resort day.
hour in the evening kind of thing, right? And like, I liked it because,
Sure.
I
You get to do a lot of things.
yeah, they're like, we spend a lot of downtime at home. Like, we're here to see things. Like, that was the big thing. You're here to see things, right? So a few times that we've gone to like these big inclusive resorts, if we would other people, they're like, well, we just kind of want a day to relax. We're like, what is this? You're like, we
You're
got to
having
get
to
going. We got to get out. So that was kind of part of my thing is like, oh, when you're on a boat, this big boat, I'm like, is it going to be like being at a resort and you're kind of like trapped there, totally different. We found out, right? Very, very different feel.
Plenty to do, but also plenty to relax depending upon it's like we like to call it a choose your own adventure vacation because like one person in the family can like if you're the person like me who wants to do like 12 million different activities, you can bounce from, D lounge to, Azure to the theater to wherever, right? Or if you're a Brian, you can like sit in Cove Cafe doing puzzles and drinking coffee, or if it's nice out, sit reading a magazine or a book on a lounge chair on the pool deck. Yeah.
Exactly. And, the other thing too is like, there's a lot of stuff going on the boat, but then you're also like, you have days that you're getting off and doing things, So it's not like you're kind of trapped at a place. It's a very different feel, And so I'm saying this so that, we had to talk mom into it. She's like, ooh, I don't know, a cruise? Oh, I don't know. She's like, I guess, guys, if that's what you really want. And so we ended up picking the San Diego Mexican Riviera itinerary because, again, being on the West Coast, that made it pretty easy. We went over Thanksgiving, that week of Thanksgiving, because we don't have a lot of family in town, and so we're like, it's
Well, and
kind
that's
of
you get the itinerary that's the 7 night that goes further down south
yes,
too, so you get
yes,
the warmer weather if you go to Puerto Vallarta or
exactly,
Mazatlan. Yeah, we've done that
yes.
itinerary too.
Oh,
It's
I love it.
yeah, that's a much better itinerary than like the typical 4 or 5 night that just goes to Ensenada and Cabo because you don't depending on time of year, you don't really get much warm weather when you're on the West Coast. Uh, and obviously we're talking, around Thanksgiving time. So November, it's not that warm in San Diego. And so when you're only going to Ensenada and Cabo, it's not much warmer than San Diego. Yeah.
No, no,
Yeah.
it was perfect weather. It was Cabo was beautiful. Like, I had never been to Cabo. So I went to Cabo, Puerto Vallarta, and Mazatlan, and all those were beautiful. We did really fun things, and my mom, by the end of it, she cried the day that we had to get off, and she literally was like, "Okay, when are we booking the next one?" Like, she was in 100% in, and she's like, "When are we going? This summer? Are we going this summer? Can we go this summer?" And we're like, "Oh, okay," you know. So this is where things start picking up really rapidly for us. So that summer we booked a 10 Southern Caribbean cruise because one of my mom's bucket list was Aruba. Um, and that was such a cool itinerary. We went to Bonaire for the first time. The cruise did, and Bonaire is such a lovely, lovely island. So if they ever go there, and people could go on that one, I highly recommend Bonaire. It went to St. Thomas. It went to St. John, I believe, and day Castaway. So my mom got to experience Castaway. So that was amazing, great trip. And then she's like, "When's the next one?" Um, so then we did a five night out of New Orleans, and that one went to Cozumel, and then oh, I am totally blanking. It's about 2 hours from Cancun at the top of the peninsula. They don't always go there, but it was a fun, like, it'll come to me probably at the end. But the what was neat about that one is there's a lot of bus trips that take you to different ruins.
Oh, it's Costa
There's a
Maya then, for sure. Yeah.
I know it wasn't Costa Maya. It
Oh, it
was
wasn't Costa Maya.
it
Huh.
wasn't Costa Maya. I'm gonna have to look it
Oh,
up. But
okay. Yeah.
but it is kind of near that
Near
area.
there, yeah, because
So
there's that
yeah,
there's a bunch of different Mayan ruins in that area
yeah,
of the peninsula. So yeah, there's a couple
yeah,
different locations you can go to, and they'll bus you to those like
yes,
to Chichen Itza and other ruins.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, which are
yeah.
really really
So I
cool.
think
Yeah.
like the port itself wasn't very exciting, but there was just a lot of excursions to do, which was cool. So anywhere along there would be neat. We had been to Cancun a few times, so we weren't too interested in like Cancun, but we went to a different ruins that we hadn't been to, and the underground river, and that was very fun. Yeah, so that was a neat trip. But we were all like, 5 nights isn't long enough. My mom's like,
Yeah.
5 nights? What is this? Like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, after a
um,
7 night and a 10
yeah,
night, you were like, yeah,
exactly. She's like,
yeah.
So then we decided to do an itinerary out of Houston, which was a 6 night.
Oh, yeah, the Galveston
Um,
one, yeah.
the Galveston one, yeah, and that one went to Grand Caymans and Cozumel. And when we got on the New Orleans one, it just downpour in Cozumel, and so like all the excursions got canceled. So we're like, it's a do over. So we did the coral restoration one, which was really cool. It doesn't cost a lot of money. The guy's very passionate about it, but it does kind of give you some perspective on cruise ships and the impact and like how you can help. So we felt good about it, and so we did that one over Christmas. So that was a maritime one. So that was a lot of fun. And again, my mom's like, when are we booking the next one? When are we booking the next one? So but what was really neat is while we were on this Galveston one, my husband and I like to go to like the little adult shows like Meet Your Match or Match Your Mate or whatever it is.
Yeah, Match Your Mate
And
and Pop
yeah,
and all
like
of
all those
the
like
80s music trivia, all the different,
yes, all
all the
those,
different
right?
game
Like,
shows, yeah.
the ones right after dinner, but before you go to bed kind of thing. And there was a couple that was there that had always kind of been there. And our entertainment director was from the UK. And at this point, we had booked this Norwegian cruise that we're talking about today. And we overheard them talking to this guy about, what should we do in London? And we're like, oh, that's interesting. You're going to London, so are we. And then, we had kind of been getting friendly with them, and we started to like, pair up for trivia and things like that. And then we found out we were going to be on the same cruise.
Oh, so
And so
fun.
we're like, oh, that's so cool, and we're like, we should like meet up and stuff. And so they're like the funnest people. They live in Wisconsin, and he's a elementary school gym teacher, and she is a traffic person on the radio, and just super fun people. And so we kept in contact. So that plays a lot into our Norwegian trip, because he's like, hey, do you want to sit together at dinner? And we're like, yes, let's do it. And then we ended up spending like a ton of time with them. We met up a few times and stuff. So, and that kind of comes into play like after the cruise too. I have kind of a funny story about that, but so that's kind of brings us to like our Norway cruise now. So And my mom finally made gold status now too.
Oh,
So
nice. Yeah, because
yes,
she wasn't on your first couple of cruises. So
yeah,
you're all gold. She's at 5, and you guys are at 7 now. So let's talk about your Norway cruise. You're traveling, of course, you're traveling to London basically from the Seattle area. I'm sure you have to fly into Heathrow. There's really
right, right.
there's no other choice unless you're flying through somewhere to fly into
hmm
Gatwick, but you're still flying through somewhere, but
Yes,
potentially.
yeah,
Obviously you're not getting in the day of the cruise. That's just not even possible with that long of a flight. But where did you guys stay in? I know you spent some time in London, but where did you guys stay? Did you stay in London or did you stay in Southampton before the cruise? Or
yeah.
both, I guess. Yeah.
We went back and forth on kind of. We knew we wanted to spend some time in the UK. We went back and forth a lot about where to go. I mean, the possibilities are truly endless. I had been to London about 30 years ago. No, 20 years ago. My husband had been when he was 10, and my daughter had never been, and she had some real thoughts on London of what she wanted to do. So she's very, very into Broadway. And so West End was a must for us. And so we ultimately landed on staying about a week in London prior to our cruise. So we stayed in the Kensington area at a cute little boutique hotel called the Hux Hotel. And it was kind of perfect because it was a 2-bedroom suite, essentially. It had like a living room, a kitchenette, 2 bedrooms. And so that was kind of perfect that we could just share a space, but still kind of have our own areas. And then we just kind of bopped around London from there. We, did the British Museum. We did a tour at the Globe Theater. My dad was really into Shakespeare,
Oh,
and
cool. Well,
introduced
and
me
your
to
daughter
Shakespeare.
likes theater, even though,
Yeah,
it's not
so
Broadway, it's Shakespeare,
right,
but it is like,
right.
it's an iconic theater.
Like I was
So
like, this is
yeah,
something you need to know. So we did, and we
yeah.
went and saw Twelfth Night there,
Oh,
and she
such a good
really
point.
wanted to go to The Great Gatsby because Corbin Bleu was in it.
Oh, yeah.
So we went and did that. We saw the new Hercules show. Have some thoughts.
Yeah.
We went to the
I have been hearing it's too long. That's what I've been hearing, but
yeah,
we don't need to do the deep dive into it. I know
yeah,
because we're gonna see. I think they had to add songs to it and add length to it, obviously from the movie to make it a
yeah.
full like Broadway show, right? But I think the DCL version is going to end up being
I
the
am
better
really,
version.
really
So
excited to see
yeah.
that because I think they kind of can take some takeaways from the West End show and improve some of the areas. Um, and then
By the way, by the time this episode comes out, we will have already seen the Hercules musical on the
perfect.
Destiny.
You'll have to
So
do like a
yeah,
little add-on on
yeah.
like the end and be like, as a side note, da 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 da.
I was right. Sam was right.
It was
I'm just
right.
going to put that in right now.
Perfect. We did. Oh, the other kind of fun thing in London was when my husband was 10. They went as a work trip. So his stepdad worked for Boeing, and so they went for 3 weeks over to Lincoln.
hmm
And so they stayed mostly in Lincoln, spent some time in London. But so it's kind of like this nostalgia thing for him. And he's like, I'd really like to go to Lincoln and see it again. So we took a train out for the day of Lincoln. It ended up being like one of our most fun days. And everybody's like, why do you want to go to Lincoln? And I was like, because like,
Because this is
they have
where
like,
he
that's
was.
where he's
Yeah.
from. And so,
Yeah.
we went to the cathedral and the castle and another little funny part about that too is my mom follows this woman who lives in Lincoln, and she has this disabled dog that they bought like little like dog wheelchair for.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Like
and
a,
now they
like,
yeah, like little wheels for your dog that can't use their back legs, and this dog is like the most adorable little Westie named Pumpkin. And they had just opened up a charity shop because what they do now is they help provide wheels for other disabled dogs,
oh.
and they
So
like
dogs that are like either like partially paralyzed
partially
essentially
paralyzed.
or
Yeah.
don't have or are missing limbs. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And they've done dogs. They had pictures of a rabbit that they did. Yeah, it was. And so my
This
mom
is
was like, "Is
I
there any
love
way
that.
we can go to the charity shop?" And I was like, "Absolutely." So we got to go, and my mom made a donation. She bought like she purchased some wheels,
For a dog.
for
Yeah.
somebody that
For a
needed them.
disabled
And
animal. Yeah.
yeah, and
So
they weren't
cool.
planning on bringing Pumpkin down, but they knew my mom was such a fan that they brought the dog. And so my mom, we have this picture of my mom holding the dog. It was like such a cool thing. It was like really, really exciting. Like, kind of like me, like a internet celebrity, And so, but they were so sweet. And so it was just a really fun day there.
Sounds like an amazing, amazing trip. I'm gonna have to skip ahead because we
Yeah,
haven't
I
even
know.
hit the
I
cruise
know. Yeah.
yet.
So from there, we went a day early, the
Okay.
day
Oh, down to
before,
Southampton. Oh,
down to
perfect.
Southampton. Yeah, because
Yeah.
we're like, we don't want to deal with the day of. And so we ended up staying at the Leonardo Royal Harbor Hotel. It's
How
one of the hotels.
close is that
Close.
from the port?
I think it was from our. It's close to some of the ports, but for our port, it was like a half mile.
Oh,
You
okay.
could walk it.
You could walk it, but it's always hard to get into the port. Some of the ports, they
Yeah.
don't let you walk in with your luggage and stuff, and you have
Yeah.
to like take a taxi or whatnot. Yeah.
Yeah, my mom has a little bit of mobility issues, so we did a lot of Ubers, and so we just Ubered it, and it was super easy. And so the embarkation process was easy. We got there. I think we were like boarding group 4.
I think as long as it's not the first sailing of the season, out of a particular port or a brand new port, right? Like there can be bumps in the road at the very beginning of a season, right? Because they're sort of just getting their protocols in place and they're just sort of training the staff. But for you, you're going at the end of the European season and you're going out of Southampton. If you're going out of, I would say, like Southampton or Barcelona, it's going to be pretty smooth sailing because that's the majority of the sailings go out of in Europe go out of those two cities or those two ports. And so, yeah, by the end of the season, it's like Port Canaveral, well-oiled machine. Yeah. So, had you been on the Fantasy before, or was
Yes, so
okay? So
our 10
oh,
night
yeah,
was
the
on the
Southern
Fantasy.
Caribbean.
Yeah.
That makes sense because 'cause
Um,
they've done Southern Caribbean on Fantasy, and occasionally the Magic has done well, now the Magic seems to be doing more of the Southern Caribbean itineraries, but yeah, the Fantasy when we did the Southern Caribbean, it was on the Fantasy as well. We did, I think the year a couple of years before you did. Well, okay, so let's dive into your ports. This was a Norwegian cruise itinerary. You had 4 planned ports, although I think you had a 1 port
we
change. Is
did
that
have one
right?
change.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So let's start there. Let's start with your first port of call and what you guys did there.
Yeah, so our first protocol was actually the next day. It was Bruges, and I'm going to apologize to any Norwegian or Belgian listeners now that if I mispronounce the cities, I'm very sorry. But so for there, we had been to both Belgium and Bruges previously. We love Belgium. I just can't even say enough about how cool that country is. And so we wanted my mom and Kaylee to experience Bruges. So it was a little confusing getting there. We had booked like a transfer, not through Disney, but separately. We didn't realize it didn't drop you off like in the middle of the city. It kind of drops you off at like this little transportation center, and then it's kind of a bit of a walk from there into like the main part of Bruges. With my mom, that was kind of tricky because then we had to get another Uber, so it was a little bit of a like, I kind of wish I knew a little bit more about that going into it. But once we got there, we had booked a private tour to do like a Belgian tasting tour, like they call the 10 tastings of Bruges, because I'm all about the food in Belgium. And I like using a company called With Locals. And so they, especially for like those like European countries, because it's, usually somebody that lives there. And then so they know all the good places and they make friends with a lot of people. And we had a really nice guy named Martin. And so we got to try waffles, beer, chocolate, frites, the whole shebang, and a little bit of the history. And it was just really fun. It was a good day.
I
And
love a
so,
food tour. I feel like
ah,
I feel like one of the best ways to see a new place, be it a city or a town, is through their food, right? Like what, that's how you experience culture. I mean, that's how we experience family. That's how we experience holidays, right? It's all through food. It's yeah, and you can learn a lot about about a place by like what kinds of things do they produce? What kinds of things do they, farm, right? Like it's very cool.
absolutely. That's one thing that when we go to new places, we try to do is find like a food tour, because I agree with you. Like that's just, and it's a nice thing because it's like you walk a little bit, you hear some stuff, you sit down and you eat, you walk, and then you get a chance to like really get to know your tour guide too, which is a lot of fun. So,
Yeah, and the
um,
pace is I feel like generally like, easier than a tour that's like all museums, right? Like a tour that's all like sites and museums. Well, that can be wonderful. That can be a lot of go, 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 and then maybe wait in a line standing, right? That sort of thing. Whereas especially if you've got someone who has a little bit of mobility issues, like having those sort of, I don't want to call them rest breaks, eating breaks,
eating
but
breaks,
like eating
exactly.
breaks. Yeah, it
Yeah,
kind of breaks up the, the walking part of the tour.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, highly recommend that. So,
awesome. Well, sounds like a good day in Belgium. What was the next port of call?
so then we had a sea day, and so then the day after that, we were in Haugesund. We were supposed to be in Haugesund. This is the one
Okay.
that got,
This is
yeah,
the one
this
that
is the one that
switched,
got
yeah.
changed. So at 6 a.m., the captain came on and let us know that there was going to be a change. Apparently, Haugesund has a floating dock. And so, with the wind expected, they couldn't safely use their thrusters to keep towards the dock because the dock would just move too much. So they're like, "Hey, we're going to Olden instead," and we're all like, "Okay, like, sure."
We don't have a
Um,
choice. So.
yeah, we
This
had
is actually
had
this is a great like PSA for for those who are listening who have not been on a cruise before and maybe don't know this.
go with the flow, man.
Just because you have a stated itinerary doesn't mean you're going on that stated itinerary. If weather or land conditions or sea conditions or natural disasters, right? Like any of those things can like we'll call them acts of nature or God, depending upon what your belief system is. Like that can alter your itinerary. And guess what? The cruise line owes you zero compensation for a change in itinerary.
Part of
The-
life, yeah.
yeah. So the only thing that will happen if you booked a an excursion through Disney Cruise Line and that your itinerary changes, you will automatically get refunded that excursion. If you will booked an excursion through a third party, the terms of cancellation will be determined by whatever your contract was with that third party. So no guarantees you'll get your money back. You may have to, that might be a sunk cost, just especially dependent upon when the cancellation happens. Like yours at 6 o'clock in the morning, if somebody's got an excursion booked that day, you don't really have enough time to give adequate notice to your tour provider if it's a third party, not through Disney. So that is the main reason why we, why we book Disney excursions, even though they cost more. It's just for that peace of mind of getting back to the ship with and then also if there's a cancellation or port change, then you're covered. So it's not that other tour providers aren't great. Obviously, you guys went with a different one for Belgium. It's really just a matter of like taking on some of the risk yourself when those kinds of things happen. Okay, so Olden. So tell us what you ended up doing in or
And I
were there
realized I mixed it up. So
Oh, okay.
Haugesund, we did go to Haugesund.
Oh, you did go to Haugesund.
We
Okay.
did go to Haugesund. It was the one after that. So
Oh, okay.
we'll backtrack a little bit and talk about
Yes, no
Haugesund. So
problem. All
yeah,
right,
so
Haugesund. Yeah.
Haugesund, we did book through Disney. So usually when we look up Disney first, that's usually our, kind of our go-to is Disney. And then if it doesn't quite have what we want to do, like sometimes we'll look at like how much time we have in port, all that kind of stuff. This one, we booked a trip that took us out to the Fisherman's Memorial and to this little place called Studehaven. So kind of a funny thing about this one too is my mom's neighbor, well, two of her neighbors are Norwegian twins, and they
This is a thing in the Seattle area, folks. If you're
yeah,
like
there's Norwegians.
there's Norwegians and Swedes like people of, Norwegian and Swedish descent here in the Seattle area,
Yes,
like a lot of
all
them.
over.
Yeah. A
Yeah,
lot of
and
Scandinavians. Yeah.
they're related to the Hansen family of Deadliest Catch. So, um,
That's funny.
but so my mom's pretty good friends with them, and they're from the island that Studehaven is on, and Eldred was actually going to be there while we were there, and so she's like, let us know where you're going to be and we'll come say hi. And so she ended up meeting us at the Fisherman's Memorial, and it was just so fun to like see her in Norway and get pictures with her. Like, I don't know, it was a cool little thing.
What a fun coincidence.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a really fun coincidence. We had a lot of like kind of fun stuff like that. Studehaven was cute. It's kind of known for like these little like, cute little white houses and stuff. The tour wasn't quite what we were expecting. We didn't have a lot of like on our own time. It was very guided, and again, with my mom, there's a lot of like hills, and so my mom was like kind of falling behind, and she was getting frustrated because like as soon as she would like rest and they'd be waiting for her, and she kind of felt bad, and then they'd start again, and she's like, but I just, oh, okay. It was okay, but getting to see Eldred was definitely the highlight. We spent a little time walking around a port, just kind of poking around, and then went back to the ship. So it was a successful day. So the next day is when we were supposed to go to Nordfjordeid, and that's the one that got changed to Olden. And I actually think we lucked out, because I do feel for the people that had some tours booked, one of the big things in Nordfjordeid is the troll cars. And I know our friends, the Marxes that were on this cruise with us, they had like, that was the one thing that his dad wanted him to do. So we had like very multi-generation. We had like, 80s, 70s, 50s, 40s, and 15. So, but that was like the one thing they want to do. And there's just not a lot of troll cars for the amount of people that want to go on them. And I know that they ended up getting booked on something else. And they basically, it sounded like they just kind of said like, we don't have enough troll cars, so nobody gets troll cars, kind of thing. So I could see that being really frustrating for some people. We hadn't planned for that anyways, and we were going to go do like a farm visit and stuff. And so anyways, so when we got there for Olden's small. It's like teeny town. I think we tripled the population by being there, but it is so gorgeous. I mean, when you think like Norwegian fjord town, like this is what you think of. And then on our Facebook group for the cruise, we're kind of like, we don't really know what to do. I guess we'll just kind of go poke around in town, whatever, call it an easy day. Someone had mentioned this little farm. It was like 2 miles. You could actually like see it from the boat. But so we're like, we like farm animals. Sure. And it was like the super cutest little day. It was like so fun. Like this farm had been in their family for like 500 years, and they were just kind of getting going with like inviting tourists there. So it was just like this other family that had mentioned it and us there at the time.
Oh, wow. That's
Yeah. And
awesome.
he gave us like a little tour of the, their outhouses, where they like did the cooking. So it had like the old, like really big fireplace, like all the old farming equipment. They had like the world's most friendliest goats that literally wanted to cuddle with you. They had, and it was just such a sweet little experience, and it was just beautiful from their place. They're kind of like up on the hill,
Oh,
and
so they
so
probably get great pictures
you
of the
just,
port.
oh,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
gorgeous. It was just like, everybody said like Olden was a great switch. Like, go to Olden. Like if it's on the itinerary, I think it's totally worth it. Like even going, like leaving and coming in there was cool. And the really, really neat thing is there's a pub that has like a deck that is built out over the water, like like kitty corner to the dock. And I guess a tradition for them is they play music when the cruise ships are leaving, and they come out and they wave flags and like wave you off. And it was like,
Fun. Oh,
my mom and I were both like getting a little verklempt. Like we were like,
yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
just like, you could just tell that they were happy
they're
to
happy to
share.
have, yeah,
Yeah,
happy to
happy to
have the
share
ship
it with
in
you.
port and happy to
Yeah.
show their town off. I have to say, we had I mean, we went to Norway a couple years ago, and just Brian and I, and we just had such an amazing time. We felt like it was such a beautiful place, and the people were so lovely, and it was just, yeah, it's. And the only thing that I can compare it to is Alaska. That's honestly, I mean, those are like the similar vibes. They're not identical, right? And of course, but like they have similar vibes, like obviously because of the fjords in particular and glaciers and all of that, and wildlife. But yeah, really just a fantastic location. I will tell you, we had some friends who I think were on. I think they might have been on your cruise. It was in September, right?
Oh, we were in August.
Oh, you were in August. Okay, so we had some friends who went to Olden on the September itinerary.
Oh, were they the ones that got
Nor
changed from the British Isles?
No, not they were
Oh, okay.
actually on the one the week after. So they were the ones who were
Oh,
supposed to
nice.
go to North. It was the cruise that got added in when they moved the dry dock. It was one of those
Oh,
cruises.
gotcha.
And so they had a yeah. So I guess theirs wasn't the same as yours, but they went to Olden as a planned port. I think I don't think it was a change, and they said that they absolutely that was their favorite port stop as well. Oh, they didn't have great weather, but they said it was a lovely, lovely place. Well, all right. Well, what was your I guess last port of call?
I think we had two more. We had
Oh, two more.
five.
Okay.
Yeah. So the next
My
one
count is gone.
was
Yeah.
Stavanger,
Oh,
and
yeah, which is a
yeah,
bigger city, much bigger
much
city.
bigger city. And we did a rib tour, one of those rib boats that went up to the Lysafjord, and we booked outside of Disney for that one. But we found out that our friends, the Marcuses, had also booked it without us knowing, and so we were all together, and that was really fun. That was just if you can do a road tour, like that's such a good time. If you like fast boats, like we had a good time.
And you get great views of like the cliffs and the fjords, and it's really did they take you over to Pulpit Rock so you could see from below? Yeah.
We went to Pulpit Rock. It's a lot of, but we couldn't see Pulpit Rock. There was a lot of, it was very cloudy that day. So we felt bad for the Pulpit Rock people that were,
Yes, the folks who were hiking Pulpit
there
Rock.
and probably didn't see much.
Yeah,
But
you probably wouldn't see much if it's
no.
if it's a real foggy, cloudy day. You won't. Yeah, that's and
Yeah.
obviously the whole point of climbing it is just get these great views. And those rib boat tours typically go up to up is the wrong word.
Yeah.
They go to Pulpit Rock,
Yes.
but you're down in the water below, so you're looking up at Pulpit Rock. And what the cool part is, if you have a good view, it's the cliff that's in one of the Mission Impossible movies that Tom Cruise is hanging off of. I can't remember which movie it is, but it's that big cliff, and that it was actually filmed
that
there.
one.
Like,
Okay.
yeah, they
That's
actually
cool.
and they did even a screening of the movie up on Pulpit Rock. So they had all the people who worked on the movie like did the hike up, and they did like a private screening.
Oh,
up
that's
there.
cool.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
cool.
really,
I didn't
really
realize
cool.
that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. We had
well,
and then our last one was Christensen.
okay, how was that?
That was kind of like a medium-sized port.
Mhm.
We did a guided bus tour and moose park experience.
Oh, moose park.
Yeah,
That's fun.
we like animals.
Yeah,
So we're
I
like,
mean,
"Oh,
you're
animals?
guaranteed.
Wait,
You're. That's probably the only way you're guaranteed to see moose, right? Like we didn't see
or
any.
get close to them. Yeah,
Yeah, we saw no moose in Norway. We saw no moose in Alaska. I guess I don't know that I probably have seen a moose in captivity, but I don't know that I've seen a moose I've never seen a moose in the wild.
I saw a moose once when we were in Banff National Park in Canada, but we stayed a healthy distance away from it. So, but this was a neat little place. This guy is really into his moose. I mean that nicely, not weirdly. But but he's just very
You're
passionate
cracking
about
me
them.
up. Yeah, that's very good.
But he just loves his moose, and he's very like you can just I don't know. He just exudes excitement about his moose. He tells us their names are Anna and Sven. You know, I don't know if that's true or not, but I'll take it. But he has Mama Moose, and then she's had two sets of babies, and then there's Big Daddy Moose, and you get to go and feed them. So that's kind of
Oh,
fun.
fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's just it's just cute. You know, like just small. Like sometimes we just really like those like smaller. You know, especially with people that have small tours or experiences that they want to share with you. You know, I just find that those are usually so much fun. And then you get more of a chance to really like talk to them as opposed to kind of like the factory cookie cutter kind of thing. Like those have their place too, but we tend to seek out kind of more of those like smaller experiences. We like smaller ports,
Sure. Well, and
things like that.
if you're going to like a very large city, most of the tour options are going to be those sort of big ones that you're going to see these sort of big sites that are going to have those cookie cutter, tours. But you're right. If you're going to these smaller cities, you are going to have more of an opportunity to have these sort of small group, sort of curated tour with a local who's going to tell you all about their interests and all about what they love about their town. And that is just like such an invaluable thing. I mean, one of the best things about travel is getting to meet the new people and hear their stories, right? I mean, whether you're on the ship or you're on land, I think that is the same, right? Like, because on the ship, you just get to do that with all of the different crew members, because they're all from over the world. And so, well, it sounds like some really lovely port days that you had. I
I
mean,
would absolutely do Norway again. Yeah.
yeah, what a great itinerary. I have to say I wanna go back to Norway myself, and we of course wanna bring Nathan to Norway because he hasn't gone. So maybe I mean, it'll probably be several years from now because we're now wanting to do Alaska, like, immediately again in 2
Yep.
years 'cause we love
Yep.
Alaska so much. And like you, it's so easy, like it's just we
So
just drive up
easy. Yeah.
and get on the ship. We can go the same day. We don't and we did go a couple nights before because we love Vancouver, but, like, we can go the same day, and I wouldn't tell people you're crazy to do that because it's only a 3-hour drive. Yeah, so I absolutely love that. Well, let's jump back onto the beautiful Disney fantasy and talk about some of the experiences you enjoyed doing on board. You had been on the fantasy for 10 nights before, so there was, like, not much probably that was new that you hadn't experienced, but what were some of, like, the favorite things that you guys did on board the ship?
Yeah, absolutely. So kind of our go-to things that we like to do is we're really into the trivias, and we actually managed to win some this time.
Yay!
Yeah, so that was pretty exciting. We won, the one that we're most proud of is we won European trivia. So
Wow,
I know.
that's impressive. Like, you have to know, like, a lot of different
Yeah.
European history in order to yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it helps that we had the Marxists with us, so
Ah,
yeah,
okay.
like we had a pretty good like powerhouse team.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was like, we just need to go and show that Americans do know things sometimes. So like we just need to like,
We're not
so we're
all
very proud
American
of that
centric.
one.
We know
You're
some
very proud of that
European.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and
And
you had Europeans on your like this is actually
that's what I
something you should
mean.
be
Like,
super proud of. Yeah, like because
yeah,
you're on your cruise leaving out of Southampton, you have like a mix of folks from the UK, you have a mix of European folks, many more folks from the European continents than you have on a typical cruise out of Florida or Galveston or New Orleans or California, of course. So, I mean, the Americans might still be the majority on certain European itineraries, but not nearly by the percentage that they are, in cruises out of the US.
yeah. And actually, that was really cool for us. Like we like we said, we like meeting new people and learning about new places and things. So that was definitely fun to meet a lot of different people from around the world. We also so cruise is like or trivia is like number one. My mom also is like, well, we got trivia this time, this time, this time, and this time. Um,
He's
and
favoriting
then,
all of them in the
uh-huh, uh-huh.
app.
We also really like the other big things that we like to do are some of the like the drink workshops.
Oh yeah, the drink
So
tastings. Yeah.
yeah, the tastings because usually the bartenders are just really fun. And we did mixology, which is one of our favorites, and we did a tequila and margarita tasting, and I think we just did those two. We've done most of them
Yeah.
before. So
They're always like a good way of trying like different liquors
mhm.
or different drinks. Like for just to warn people, mixology does not mean you're mixing your own drinks. There's no mixing of your own drinks on the Disney Cruise Line. It used to be, I think when they first did mixology, they would give you the ingredients and let you put them together. But now it's not like that. They make all your drinks at the bar and then they give you your little small glasses.
Although this time we did. Uh,
What?
yeah. So, but what was kind of neat about it is he would have like five people come up and then everybody would have like a different part to it. And so you didn't mix it for everybody, but you got to mix some of your own. So you kind of saw the process of like how to make it. And then he would like have the people do the shaking, so you had like 5 different shakers kind of going at the same time. So it like did a lot of people.
That's nice. I will say that is not the typical anymore.
And
So
I don't know if it's because it was Europe too. That could have been
it
different
could
laws.
be, yeah, it could be based on the laws there, or it could just be the bartenders do, right? Like
Yep.
whoever's teaching the class might
Yeah.
have, but that's not the typical, at least not anymore. I think that used
Yeah,
to be
we've had
more of what
it.
they did.
Yeah,
Both ways,
most of the
yeah.
time it's been like kind of made for it, and they might have like one person come up and do it. When we've done the mojito one before, and that one is a little bit like you get to do some of your own like muddling and stuff, but a little more interactive. But mixology is just a fun one because it's always different, cocktails and things. So, and then we didn't see all of the shows because we've seen a fair amount of them before, but we did get to meet. They had a guest Broadway artist, and so we went to his talk. So like I said, my daughter's
So
really
he
into
was
Broadway.
Jafar, right?
He
In
was, yeah.
Aladdin. Yep.
And then he played the dad in
Oh yes, in Believe. That's right.
Believe, yeah.
Yeah.
And so we didn't see him in Aladdin, but we went to his little talk that he did, which was really kind of fun. And then we went and saw him in Believe, and so that was neat to kind of put a face with the name. And we did a lot of like the evening, entertainment. Kind of when we mentioned we like doing those, and ate a lot.
I mean, that's what one does. What now? Does your daughter enjoy the teen club? Is she into vibe? Is she more into hanging with you all? What? Yeah. Do you see her at all on the cruise?
No.
than dinner?
I think after a week of London, we are all kind of ready to like have our own spaces.
Oh yeah.
No, she basically disappears on us. And we're like, what kid? What kid do we have? We don't know.
we have a teenager.
We make her come to dinner with us.
Mhm.
And she usually is kind of like, starts like an hour in, kind of like trying to get out of the chair, Very rarely does she make it through to dessert. And so usually which just upsets our waiters so much. They're just like, how could she not want dessert? And so
oh my God, Shannon, I feel your pain because Nathan leaves us now. As soon as he
Yes.
like scarfs down his Mickey's mac and cheese and French fries,
I feel like Nathan and Kaylee would get along very well with this. Yeah.
He just eats his stuff, and then it is the very rare occasion that he will eat dessert, and he's getting his main meal while we're eating our appetizers. So like he's done, like we're not even halfway through dinner, and he's like, "Can I go?" And we're like, "Okay." And if he's getting dessert, he's getting soft serve on the pool deck on his way to Edge. Yeah.
100%. They're like the same kid, apparently. But our waiters are always like so distraught that they don't stay for it. So we make her stay. We have her pick like one day that she's going to stay for dessert. I'm like, just for your waiters.
Yeah. You got to do it like animator's palette night, right? Because then you could do animation magic. You have to, if you want to see animation magic. So this is
like, I'll stay for that one.
Yes. Pro tip. If your kid does not like to stick around for the long dinner, the one to stick around for, if you're on a ship, if you're on one of the original 4 and you're on a 7-night cruise or longer, you will have animation magic, which is where your drawing comes to life. Spoiler, but that's just a minor spoiler, because what I mean by that is you might not understand if you haven't seen it. But that's the one where you have to wait until dessert. That's like when it happens. Like they don't do the stuff on the screen. Well, there's other stuff that happens on the screens that is sort of the lead up to the main show, but it's you have to stay for really the full dinner in order to see animation magic. And so if you're going to make your kids stay, at least do it on the night that the show
that's
is
a good
happening.
one. And it's a really cute Nathan. Like what they do is it's really fun to watch. Like it never really gets old. And so our waiter was kind of great. We really loved him. He's like, can I play this trick on her? And I was like, yes you can. So he's like, I'm gonna, like, can you write down some things about her? And I'm going to pretend that I can read her mind. And I was like,
I love
we're
that.
in. But she kept escaping. And so we had to like figure out a way to get her to like stay long enough so he could do it, And so we wrote down some funny things, and he did it. And I don't know how he kept a straight face doing this. He's like, I'm getting this vision. And like, she was just like bright red laughing. I mean, she has a good sense of humor. So she was like, what is happening? But then I won't divulge it on here because she'll probably kill me, but she had a very unorthodox crush when she was like a toddler. And so we we said that, and she had a couple of her friends with vibe with her, and so it was like she was like just dying. Like, she was like, oh my god, what is happening? And she's a skeptic anyway, so she didn't like believe that I actually knew this, but she went along with it. Like, but it was funny. Like, we all were cracking up and having a good time with that one. So
Oh, I love that.
yeah,
Now,
so that was
does she disappear from day one? Like, is it like
oh
when your embarkation day, she goes
oh yeah
to vibe and
yeah
makes friends and
oh
she's
yeah
gone? Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
especially since the last one when we were out of Galveston, she had met some people that she's still friends with, actually from like Croatia and stuff. And so yeah, so she just goes and starts checking things out and makes friends, and then we don't see her until we get off the ship. So
Right. Well, except for I assume she comes on the excursions with you that you've booked,
she
right? Like, yeah.
does. She does come on the excursions, and then
Yeah.
pretty much as soon as we get back, she
Right.
escapes.
Then she's disappears.
Yeah,
Yes. Same.
she,
That's
yeah,
our exact same situation. In
yeah,
fact, even in Alaska, like Brian and I wanted to, go and walk around after each of our excursions, like kind of check out the shops and, near the port. And so Nathan would go back onto the ship by himself and go back to Edge while we were off the ship, And I mean, he's got a phone and we were in the United States, so it was super easy and all of that. But we would do that even in a European city. As long as he's got his phone and he can reach us, we're comfortable. As if he's on the ship, wouldn't leave him out on his
oh
own in
yeah,
port.
same,
But yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
and especially in Norway, where some of those, you're just right there. So we did the same thing. When she starts getting antsy, we were like, okay, we see it, bye. And so yeah, we also have something we call mandatory family time. And so if we want her to like come help us out with a trivia or something, we'll just text her like MFT at 2 p.m. and so she knows. Yeah. So yeah, she's funny. She loves it though. Like, she made some friends on this last one, and she talks to them like several times a week. And so yeah,
I think it's really awesome how, I mean, not every kid is like has the personality that they feel confident to go off on their own and all that, and that's totally fine. But one of the things I just love about cruising, especially with Disney, is that I feel like it's such a safe environment that I feel totally comfortable having Nathan off on his own on the ship. Obviously there are certain rules that he knows that if he violates, then there's going to be consequences and there won't be that kind of independence. But like, it's just really nice to be able to give them a sense of independence that we just can't do. And like, we live in the suburbs, you live in the suburbs, like there, you have to be able to drive to have any independence. And so it's really, it's just not a thing you can really have at home, but you can have it on the ship. And that's awesome. I got to ask your mom, how did she enjoy the cruise? It sounds like this one would have been a little bit tougher for her just from a mobility standpoint, because there was a lot of, when you're touring in Europe, there's a lot of walking, obviously on the London side of things, but also in Norway. It's a very outdoorsy place. It's hilly. It's, so it's a little bit harder. Like, was she, did she still enjoy the cruise? Do you think that maybe she prefers Caribbean cruises, or what would you sort of say her reaction to the cruise would have been or is?
I mean, in all like honesty, London was tough for her. One thing that we learned, and this is just good for anybody that has some, mobility issues or some disabilities, we realized that they don't always offer it. It's not as upfront as you might be here in America, but they are always willing to provide it if you ask. So, for example, when we went to the British Museum, there was a long line to get in, and we had to like walk all the way down and then back in and like snake around. And my mom had just like had this look of panic on her face. And so I went up to one of the people there and I was like, is there a place my mom can sit and wait, and then we could call her over when it's our turn? And they're like, oh, does she have trouble walking? And I was like, yeah. So they undid one of the, ropes for us, and then we just got to go right in. So, and that happened at the Tower of London too. They took us up like this backside because the elevator didn't go to that area and kind of was like, here, do this, this, and this. So it's there, but you have to ask for it. So it's not, like I said, it's not as obvious, but they were incredibly accommodating anytime we asked, and they didn't even question it. They were just like, oh, you need this? Okay, let's give this to you. So just a plug for anybody that goes to Europe, like ask if you need something, because we did find them very, very accommodating. And, and it's a little like for my mom, she's dealing a lot with the idea of, you know, she's frustrated with herself and her body. So, she's like, why is this happening? Why is it so hard? And that made it hard too. Like she just couldn't do as much as she wanted to do.
Did she consider using like a scooter or wheelchair or anything like that to
She's just kind of that generation,
Yeah.
unless she
Yeah,
like
yeah.
absolutely
She's
has
not
to.
ready. Yeah, yeah.
Not ready, she didn't even bring her cane with her, and I was like, "Mom, what are you doing?" Like, and
What? That's
she want
crazy.
yeah, we had to
Yeah.
get her a cane in New Orleans. But yeah, just really is like struggling with that idea of like just can't do as much as she used to. It's kind of part of her personality. But once we got on the ship, it was a lot easier, right? Like because sometimes she would have to going down those really long hauls. She'd have to like pause, for a minute and stuff, and so it was better once we're on the cruise. Some of the excursions were a little rough, and I think if we had known that it would have impacted her as much, we maybe would have changed some of the excursions we did to be more of the ones that can accommodate wheelchairs, because then that there's going to be less uphill or things like that. So that is a consideration. Like I do think, especially in Europe, like it is a lot more uneven walking,
Right.
um,
Sometimes
stairs,
cobblestone, stairs.
stairs.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. Not every place is accessible with elevators, right? A lot of the older buildings, things like that. Curb cuts are not a thing, in a lot of places. No, that's a really good point. I will say, the Disney excursions do have a designation of whether they are sort of, I think, mild, moderate, or hard in terms of like, I can't remember what the term they use, but like as far as the level of strenuousness on the excursion, but I don't always think they're the most accurate in their descriptions either. And there's a big range of what that moderate is also, right? Like it will tell you if it's a hike, right? Like and so like the Pulpit Rock hike to Stavanger, clearly not going to be one that your mom is going to do. But like beyond that level, there's so much variation as to what is a moderate or what is a mild in terms of strenuousness. So that's definitely something. And one of the ways I think people can try and find out some of that information is like a lot of the Facebook groups. Like if you can find somebody who's been on the excursion before, you can always call Disney Cruise Line and ask, but they
yeah.
don't
They don't always
necessarily.
know.
Yeah, they don't exactly. And so that's or do research online and see if you can find the same excursion, and the vendor might give a better description about what the excursion's about. But sometimes it's hard to even figure out which vendors are they're using ahead of time. You can find it out right when once you're booked on them. You can it will typically have it listed in the description in the Disney Cruise Line app, I believe, but I'm not sure that it has that when you're first booking the excursions. Yeah.
And I think,
Well, go
I
ahead.
just really quick, I just want to say, and I think too, a moderate strenuous level in Europe is different than a moderate strenuous level in the Caribbean, right? So I think like that also you kind of need to know where you're going a little bit, because Europeans walk a lot more. And so their idea of what's moderate is different sometimes than ours. And so, like Studebaven was a good example of, had we known that's how that would have been organized, we probably would have done something different. But it didn't really mention anything is like, oh, just a stroll around town, so we're just kind of imagining strolling around on our own. So yeah, like if you have any mobility issues and you're not, like a wheelchair user where you have very obvious limitations, if walking is a consideration for you, to just really do your research on that. Yeah.
Well, and that is one also area where you can book a private excursion that you might pay more for. But if you do like a private tour, as long as it's not a walking tour, if you do one that's got a car that's going to take you from site to site, that's a good way to see, a new city. Like I said, it's probably going to be the more expensive option, but it is definitely a better option, I think, for when you have those mobility concerns. Well, Shannon, before I subject you to rapid fire, I got to ask, is there anything that we've missed? Anything really notable, either good, bad, or just unusual that we haven't talked about at this point?
The only thing I think, when we travel with my mom, we like to get connecting rooms. And so we book my daughter and my mom in one room for the price and then us in the other room. And then we just tell our room attendant that she's sleeping in our room. And we do the connecting room so we don't have to like try to get like another key card and all that kind of stuff. So we just kind of keep the door propped open between us. But then we still have our own spaces. So she can kind of come and go as she pleases.
Yeah, that's the way to do it for sure, though, because each room you are going to pay for double occupancy. On Disney Cruise Line, there's other cruise lines that have single occupancy rooms. Disney doesn't have that, so you're going to have to pay for two. Even if you're a single, you're going to have to pay for two people. So if you were to assign her to your room, your mom's room would still be two people, and then your room would be three people, and so you'd be paying for five people technically. And so if you assign her to your mom's room, regardless of where she's sleeping, then her room is assigned with two people, your room is assigned with two people, and you're only paying for the four people. We've done that before when we sailed with my mom on the Disney Dream several years ago. We put Nathan in her room and we had our room. And then that way, yeah, we still had to pay the adult price for Nathan instead of the third passenger price, right? But and same with your daughter. You're paying the second passenger price instead of a third passenger price, which the third and fourth passenger is lower price, but it's still, you're not paying for an entire extra person.
Right.
And
It still
so
is cheaper
it
by a
still is
lot.
cheaper.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're a party of four and you're going to have two rooms, you need to assign two in each room. And if there are two that are kids, then you have to assign one adult in each room and one kid in each room. So just the pro tip out there, don't pay for five people when you're only sailing with four people.
It's very easy to like just have them set up, and you can get like an additional key card at guest services that is assigned to your room. You can also, when you set up, you can assign your credit card if you want to give them purchasing privileges. So it doesn't all have to go under, the other person's room. So, you can set it up so they're pretty much like just all under you. So that was kind of nice. And then the other thing that I just think people should think about too is verandas. So we've done a mix of inside and outside verandas. Loved having the veranda when we were on our summer Caribbean cruise. And it was really fun to like watch it from the sailway. In Norway, we got a little bit, like we kind of prioritized using it, but I
Mhm.
think we would have been fine without it.
That's a good
So
point. You're getting off the
yeah,
ship so much in Norway,
right.
so it's not like you're
Yeah.
sitting on the veranda while you're at port. You're gonna be going out to the port. So, yeah, that's a good point. I always think it is definitely a consideration of if it's a lot cheaper to not have a veranda, and it's a difference between being able to take that cruise and not take that cruise, like, you don't need the veranda. I mean, there are some people who are like, it's a must. It's not a must for us. We've never stayed in an inside cabin though. We tend to choose those the window. Yeah, exactly, the ocean view. So
I like
we
having
like
the natural light.
yeah, the same. That's what we like. It's like the way to wake up in the morning. I think we would have a very hard time waking up without natural sunlight, and so I think we would oversleep every day and probably miss our excursions if we were in an inside cabin. At least we have, even with those blackout curtains, you still can have a little bit of slit of light that sort of peeks through in the morning, and that helps at least wake me up. But yeah, we definitely. In fact, our next however many cruises we have booked. It's funny. We're on the Destiny several times, and we are literally booked in the same room.
Oh
And
my gosh.
yeah, and it's all ocean view. It's and it's it's just hilarious. We have a preferred side of the ship, we have a preferred deck of the ship, and we have a preferred room category, and that is an ocean view stateroom. So,
I think we
um,
ended up staying in the exact same rooms on the fantasy this time as we
oh
had. Yeah. So
yeah.
we were like, oh, this is familiar.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so funny. We just tend to we're like creatures of habit. We like us, and it's even across the different ships. We tend to choose the same location,
We're the
and it
same
doesn't.
way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it doesn't have to be the same floor because obviously there's different number of floors depending upon which ship you're on. But we tend to choose sort of the highest non-concierge floor, forward starboard. That's like our preferred. Yeah, our
That's
preferred.
awesome. Yeah, we're like floor 2 for like magic and wonder because it's nice and chill down there and close by to everything. And then if we do a veranda, we did floor 6 on and we kind of like, like somewhere kind of midship-ish, but we're not super picky. But yeah, kind of the same thing where we're like,
It's funny. I just think it's funny. We all like have our like it's not there's not I want to tell people it's not like one location is better than the other. It's just what you like to be close to. Do you like to be close to the adult only areas? Do you like to be close to the buffet? I mean, and when I say close, I mean on the same elevator bank as, do you like to be close to one of the restaurants or the kids club or what, like it's just a matter of where you have a preference. And of course with what motion sickness and things like that, people have preferred locations as well. All right, Shannon, well, we've come to that point in the show where it's time for me to subject you to some arbitrary rules, some arbitrary questions, and a dash of judgment, or the round we like to call rapid fire. All right, you're ready for this, and so I'm going to get right started. We're going to start with your favorite Disney stuff, and then we'll go to Disney Cruise Line, of course. So, who is your favorite Disney character? And Disney means everything and anything that Disney owns.
hey hey is one of my favorites.
Ah, I love
I
that.
love the derpy characters a lot. Also Robin Hood. Yeah, like my archers. And Figment.
Oh, love, yeah, yeah. Favorite park. I mean, who wouldn't love Figment? A favorite, but that's a favorite Parks character. Absolutely, yeah. All right, what is your favorite Disney movie? Same rule applies to the word Disney.
Emperor's New Groove. Uh, yeah, one of my best friend and I quote it constantly to each other. And then also probably Aladdin. That was like my Aladdin and Little Mermaid were my favorite growing up. So,
Yeah, it's like that golden age of Disney. Absolutely.
oh
I
yeah,
gotta
I was like the
ask,
perfect age for
do
it.
you have the poison sipper cup? Did you get that one from
I
Disney?
didn't, but I wanted it. But I do have like the little poison, like on
Oh, the little one.
like
Yeah,
stickers. I have like little
yeah.
stickers of it and stuff. Yeah,
I love
yeah,
it. Love it.
all the time, constantly quoting it. Yeah.
All right, favorite Disney song.
I'm going to say, I mean, part of your world. Like, I
Oh,
don't know.
so
I
yes,
just
and
like
Jodie Benson. Oh, so
right, and
yes.
it's just one that I've memorized since I was a little kid. So I'll go with that one. I mean, I love a lot of them, but that one I've always get really excited when it comes on. So
Yes, that's an awesome one. All right, well, let's jump on to the ships, and you're allowed to choose from any of the ships that you have been on when I ask the question. So it doesn't have to be Norway cruise specific or fantasy specific. So we're going to start with favorite Disney Cruise Line stage show. So I'm talking about the shows in the Walt Disney Theater. We're not talking about the ventriloquist. We're talking about the Disney ones, and it could be one of the ones that they've created, like Believe, or it could be one of the ones like classics, like I don't know, Beauty and the Beast, Tangled, whatnot. All right, which one is your personal favorite, Shannon, not your daughter's favorite? Yeah.
I know, right? So we've been on the Wonder, Magic, and Fantasy. So I haven't seen Beauty and the Beast, but but I
Because that's
I
the
know.
right answer.
I know that's the right answer.
Yeah.
I was very impressed with Frozen. And we got to see it like right when they put it on the Wonder. And so that was really cool. I'm impressed with how they did it. So I'll go with Frozen. Like that's one that I would see over and over. So
Yes, I go and see that over and over again on either the fantasy or not the fantasy. What is the second ship it's on? Or is it on the fantasy? I can't remember. And it's gonna be on the Destiny. It's gonna be the third show on the Destiny. Yeah, it's on the Wonder and it's on I think it's on the Fantasy. Gosh, I'm blanking for a second. Yeah, I know it's on 2 ships. It's gonna be on 3 ships. Yeah, fantastic show. All right, well, moving on to let's move over to, activities. Favorite onboard activity, is it trivia?
It's trivia. I mean, who doesn't love a good trivia?
I know.
I do find Match Your Mate hilarious though. That's one of my favorites. And especially if you have like the really cool thing about doing those like late night ones is if you consistently go to them, you see the same people and you get to know your entertainment directors, and then it kind of like becomes inside jokes like as they build through. So like
Especially
those,
from Match Your Mate, like, and those
especially from Match
because
Your
those
Mate.
people
Yeah.
become celebrities. The couples
Yes.
are celebrities, at least
Yes.
amongst the people who saw Match Your Mate. Yeah.
Yes. So trivia probably first for like every, just everything. And then like mixology probably second. And then from there, like the evening entertainment is always a good time.
Love it. All right, favorite bar space on Disney Cruise Line?
The tube is fun, and I like that's a bigger space. And there's a lot of different seating in there. But I also like
Ooh La
the
La,
Ooh
the
La
champagne
La.
bar? Yeah, there's Ooh
Yeah,
La
that
La,
one.
champagne bar on, the Fantasy. Yeah.
Yeah, that one's a nice, like really chill space, and you feel kind of like closed in and kind of away from all the hubbub. So that one's really cute. Yeah, so I think those are a good time. I'm very excited for the Haunted Mansion
Yes.
one though. So that'll
Yes,
be February for us.
it's very, very cool. Fantasy or sorry, fantasy, treasure or destiny?
Treasure.
Ah, nice. Very nice. Yeah, you're gonna love it. You're gonna love it. It's amazing. All right, moving on to food. We gotta go to rotational dining. Which is your favorite of of all the restaurants you've been to? Which is your favorite rotational dining restaurant? And it doesn't have to be because of the food. It can be the atmosphere, the show, whatever. Sort of however you judge the quality of restaurants.
I really like Enchanted Garden. I think it's so
That's a
cute.
hot take.
What? You don't
It's
like
a hot
Enchanted Garden? It's
Well, no,
so
it's not that I
cute.
don't like it. I just feel like it could be more. It's very pretty, but it could be, to me, I want more theming. I want Enchanted Garden to be like Mary Poppins themed, right? Or, I want
Fair.
it to
Yeah.
yeah.
I
It's
wouldn't be
just
mad at
not
that. I wouldn't
yeah,
be mad at that. It kind
it's just
of, yeah.
it doesn't have to be, it can still be understated theming. But I just want more, it's the one that I feel like is lacking in the theming
You're
department.
right.
But
It
that's
doesn't really
yeah,
have any theming.
other than the garden. Yeah.
Yeah, I do think it's cute and pretty, and it's like this. It feels comfortable in there, and I like how they like change at night.
Yeah,
Like I think that's cute.
the
Although
flowers, like, open. Yeah.
yeah, I do kind of expect like the White Rabbit to like pop up and run around. So I could totally see like something like that. So I think you're onto something there.
Yeah, like, either, like, Alice in Wonderland theming would be great there, Mary Poppins theming would be great there, like, there's a ways for it to be themed that wouldn't completely change its character, but I feel like it just needs
They
some
might they might have been
theming.
onto you though because they did have a parade of the
The
characters come through.
cavalcade, I
Yeah,
heard
which
they
I didn't even know that was a thing. So
it's not. It has not been a thing, but you're not the first person I've heard this from. I have heard that, and I don't know if it was for the entire European season or if it was just towards the end of the European season, but we heard that they did a character cavalcade, which they did that with the pandemic restart when they couldn't, they did that because they couldn't do character interactions, right? And so they wanted to have a way for you to see the characters. And so they did like they did at the parks, you could have a sort of a distanced character. So the character could be up on a balcony, you could be down below and take a selfie. But they did the cavalcades on the cruise line for a little while before they sort of restarted character interactions. And so I heard that they had them, and I don't know the answer to this, but I'm surmising or guessing that they may have done this because character lines, from what we've heard, are very, very long on the European sailings because obviously folks in Europe don't have the same access to the characters as we have in the US, going to the Walt Disney World or Disneyland. And so we heard that the lines were particularly long. And so I'm wondering if that was sort of their, like, we want people to not complain that they didn't get any character interaction, so we're going to give them this semi-character interaction. I don't know.
Yeah,
That's just
that might be
it's just
true.
my guess. Yeah.
I felt like there was less characters.
Oh,
Um,
interesting.
too. So I think that might have contributed to the lines. Like there wasn't as much variety of the characters, and so that might be part of it too. But I find the characters in the restaurants to be a little awkward because the little kids always run up and then they have to like body block them, and it's just like, oh, it's awkward. So
Yes. Yes. Especially
so
because they're usually doing like a dance or a parade kind of around.
exactly,
And so you really
yeah,
can't, yeah. You
yeah.
can't really have the kids underfoot because they're going to get
Oh
stepped
gosh,
on or
no,
knocked
yeah,
over. Yeah.
yeah.
Not,
But
not a great circumstance. Well, I got to ask, we're sticking with in the food category. I love to ask favorite sweet item, favorite savory item. And as I always say, I save the best for last, which to me is savory. I don't care that dessert comes at the end of the meal. In my mind, a Mickey pretzel should come at the end of every meal. So yeah. Yeah. So favorite sweet item on board a Disney cruise.
I'm basic kind of. I really, well, for desserts, I really like their lava cake. The lava cake, I just love lava cakes in general. But Mickey bars, like half the time, I'll just ask for a Mickey bar instead of the dessert.
Yeah,
So
you can always get one.
you
That's
can always get one.
yeah. People who don't know, you can always get a Mickey bar for dessert if you don't want anything that's on the dessert menu, or you could just get ice cream with or without Mickey sprinkles as well. All right, what's a favorite savory item on a Disney cruise for you?
I don't have anything that really sticks out in my mind. I do like the lobster. That's always kind of fun because it's not something that we do very often. I do like, their pastas are generally pretty good. Their, especially like their portobello pasta is pretty tasty. It's all like, it's all good, right? Like, but there's nothing that like stands out to me where I was like, oh my God, I can't wait to have this again.
Have you done any of the adult dining on Disney Cruise Line?
Yes, we didn't this time, but we've done Paulo brunches a couple times, and then we did the dessert at Remy's, and the dessert one was really fun.
I think that's where, for me, that's where the biggest standouts come. I mean, you can have like occasionally there's a dish in main dining that really hits really well, but I would say most of my favorites come from the adult dining
Yeah,
restaurants.
fair,
So
totally
yeah,
fair.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. One of
All
these days
right.
we'll end up doing a Paulo dinner. So
Yeah. All right. Well, I've got to ask you probably the most important question, which is which one is your favorite ship? You've been on the Magic, the Wonder, and the Fantasy. You're soon to go on the Treasure, but which one of those three is your favorite?
I think as far as like theming the fantasy, like that atrium is just so gorgeous, and I love Art Deco anyways. And so that chandelier, just like every time I take like 1,000 pictures of it, I love that. Wonder was our first one, and I'm a big fan of New Orleans, so I like the little where I can get my beignets.
Yeah, the French
Um,
Quarter Lounge.
the
It's
French
so
Quarter
pretty. And
Lounge
then
is
if
so
Tiana's
cute.
right
Yeah,
there, it's yeah, you get the whole New
yeah.
Orleans theming. Yeah.
But as far from beyond that, like Magic and the Wonder, like fairly similar to me. So I'd say probably the Fantasy is my favorite. Yeah, but I mean, whatever ship I'm on is my favorite.
That is truly the right answer. The right answer is whichever one I can get on tomorrow.
Yes,
Um,
yes.
all right, Shannon. My last question, of course, is your bucket list cruise. If you can go anywhere in the world on a Disney ship, it doesn't have to be someplace that Disney currently sails. Where are you going?
I would love to do like a longer Australian, like one that like started at the top and really went down and went to like Tasmania and stuff. And I want it to be like all animals all the time. I want like a Disney animal excursion craziness. I want like the people to come on and bring me koalas, and like I want like naturalists on there to like, I want to go like save koalas in the wild or something. I don't know. Like I want to just all be like National Geographic and the Irwins. I want the Irwins there. Yeah. I mean, we're in Australia, so we might as well, right?
Right. This is an
VIP
imaginary cruise. You
tour
can
of
have,
their
you can have,
zoo. Yeah,
yeah, you can have
yeah,
whatever
that
you
would
want.
be. I'd be like, sign me up. And it's like, not, it's something I can afford. That would be the other part of it.
Right. Price is not an option.
Yeah,
All
exactly.
right. Well, Shannon, thank you for playing. You have, Brian always asks what's next. You already gave us a preview. You've got the Treasure booked for coming up. Do you have anything booked on the Destiny?
No, so we do want to go on the Destiny because I want to see that Hercules show. So we're doing the Treasure in February, and that's going to St. Thomas or the U.S. Virgin Islands, British Virgin Islands, and Castaway.
Yes, the
And
Eastern
then
Caribbean. Nice.
yeah, so we're pretty excited to try out the Treasure, and I want to see the Moana show. I'm very excited about that one too. And then, funny enough, after we got off with our friends, we're like, "Oh my god, we had such a good time! Like, we should definitely book something." And then he's like, "Okay, when?" And I was like, well, we're kind of playing around with this summer. Maybe he's like, okay, when? And so we ended up, they ended up booking with us an Alaska cruise. So we're going to
Oh,
go back to
awesome.
Alaska. Yeah, on the Magic. And it's going to go to Ward Cove and Icy Strait Point, which are
Oh, cool. Two
two ones that
Newports. Yeah.
two new parts that we haven't done.
Yeah.
And so we're really excited about that. And so it'll be really fun to do that with them. And Kaylee, she was so like, is what
She was
8 years
much
ago,
younger. Yeah. So it's
much
been a while.
younger. And
Yeah.
my mom hasn't done an Alaska cruise and hasn't been to Alaska since the 70s. So I think she's going to get a kick out of it. Yeah, so I'm excited about that.
Awesome. Well, Shannon, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. And we'll definitely have to have you back to talk about those other cruises.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you so much.